thank God for this great opportunity that He has given us, that we can be in your homes, at the bar, at your workplace, on the beach, wherever you view us. We thank God that you take time off to be with us today. And we pray that God will bless you through His Word as we continue to share deeply from the Word of God. Stay tuned. Be blessed.
As we continue to massage the whole concept and notion of rebuilding, we want to do so in the context of examining the family, the community, and the nation. We want to perhaps look at those things within the family, the community, and the nation that would have been broken down, because rebuilding suggests to us, or presupposes that there was something built up and there would have been some calamity, and so that there is loss of structure. And so we want to examine things like values, trust, honesty, quality leadership, that, you know, as we look around, we observe that these things would have been broken down. And so join us even as we continue our discussion. Gentlemen.
You know, it's the Bible, the Word of God, that says that God wish above all things, that we as men prosper and be in health, even as our soul prospers in Him. So it tells me about a three-dimensional prosperity that God is looking forward to. Our souls must prosper in Him, but along with that, we must be in health, and we must also prosper. If I check every normal thinking man, I am confident every normal thinking man desires that kind of prosperity. However, I have found that in our environment, decay has become so dominant, so rampant, that even normal thinking people seem to want to give up the desire and the fight for that kind of prosperity, to end up in what the boys would call a yard fight, you know, a gully fight, or a fight that does not bring any of those kinds of results to the fore. I will encourage us as we continue this discussion today, that let us check in our family, let us check in our community. What are the things that we have that we lost? For example, in the family, we had strong leaderships. I'm very confident, as I was growing up, strong leadership in family and in community that ensured that certain issues were addressed and certain matters were dealt with, so that the family could grow and have the kinds of moral development and thinking. Do we still have those things in our community, gentlemen?
You know, so oftentimes when we consider rebuilding, we often focus on the physical things first and foremost. We agree that some structure might have broken down. We talk about rebuilding it, think about what are the physical material we need. But I think what is more important is that we sit and have in our minds what is the vision, what we want to build for. Are we just building for today, or are we building for the future? We're building for a century from now. I think those are the considerations that we must first bring to the fore. And if we do that, then I think we're going to talk first of all about values, what we want to achieve. Because if we have values first and foremost, then I think we are on the right track. Let me give you some examples. When we think about rebuilding the family, first thing we might think about, we need education, which is extremely good. But what value do we attach to the education? Is it just for an education to achieve maybe 10, 15 subjects and not the moral aspect of it? What we want that child to grow up doing, what we want that child to think, how we want that child to see him or herself being a part of society. That is society fragmented, or we want that person to be part of the society where we can sit and work together and indeed build. Or are we instilling in that child the sense of selfishness rather than a sense of community service. So as we talk about rebuilding, I think first and foremost we should focus on values rather than on the physical component of what needs to be rebuilt.
I think that is so critical, you know, focusing on values. What has happened in society today is that evil has been rewarded so much that people are embracing it as something normal. It's not normal. No,
destruction has taken place.
Destruction, exactly. Exactly. Because if we keep rewarding evil, then people will not want to do what is right, you know, and so people will move away from the principles of the Word of God, and they will just do what seems right in their own eyes. No, we have to understand that it goes right back to the family. We begin in the family, because as the family goes, so goes the community, and so goes the nation. So we have to begin at home. Whether mommy is there or daddy is there, the important thing is that values must be instilled, because we are preparing a generation that will go out into society, and if they are not properly prepared, they will practice the same thing in society, and so society will explode and become more destructive. So values are critical at home.
You know, I grew up at the time where my parents would sing the song, "The standards in this house, never mind the others, don't do certain things. The standards in this house must go to school, will pass the exam. No matter how long it takes you to pass the exam, you got to pass the exam. The standards in this house must not get involved in certain kinds of negative behavior." And every time they saw you having any form of tendency in going in that direction, they color you, and then brothers would give you, and sisters would give you a sound beating. You know what I found interesting in the community then? Is that they were community members who understood the passion and the value of my family. So even when I went overboard and my parents were not around, they came and said to me, "Hear me, I don't want to see you back there. If I see you there, I'm going to report this to your parents." And they know that when they got to my parents, they would have gotten some satisfaction because of the respect that they had in the community. We lost those kinds of things in building our homes. I want to say that a woman called me a few nights ago, a mother, crying vehemently. And this is what she said to me: "Pastor, I need help. Help, Pastor. Pastor, I now understand why God says sex outside of marriage is not good." So I said, "Where is she going?" "I know what God means, Pastor, because no one person could raise a child. Pastor, I thought I could raise this child by myself. I can't do it. Pastor, all my hair in my head are pulling out. Pastor, I need help. Help, Pastor." I could not understand. Many of you out there understand what she's talking about. So the community needs to come on board to bring support to the development of our children.
You know, one of the other critical component that Pastor Lee alluded to when he was talking about rebuilding and the importance of values, I believe another critical component is character and building character, because that is one of the components that will enable you not only for the now but for the future. And it has a twofold way in terms of it will be tested as you go along, and it's that same character. Once you build strong character, it will also enable you to withstand some of the challenges that will enable you to rebuild and to rebuild strong.
You know, I find also, apart from values and character, I did mention about vision. It's important that we build not only for now, but we build for the future. And it embraces both character and it embraces values. When we sit and we plan to rebuild, some of the builders who are present now may not be here tomorrow, but it's the vision that will really take us forward. Not necessarily the builders, but the vision which we want to achieve. And once we build those on character and value, they are going to go far beyond us. They are going to go in such a way that as we build values, we build character, they will come, and over time they will be able to follow through. Let me share something that really disappoints me. Sometimes you find that the persons who are you expect to be the leaders in society, persons you expect to be leaders in the home, because of the absence of character, because of the absence of values, you find that there is great fragmentation in the family. We talk strongly of building, in the book of Nehemiah, he speaks about rebuilding walls, he speaks about rebuilding gates. Walls are good, they protect. But I tell you what, the weakest thing in any wall, it's the gate. You know why? Because at the gate there's a human factor there. There's somebody there who keeps the gate. And if there's no strength in character there's no strong values there, that gatekeeper is going to allow any and everything to pass through. Because there's an inability to decipher what is right and what is wrong. So even though you build strong walls and you don't build character and value, that gatekeeper inability to discern or determine what is right from what is wrong may allow anything to pass through. And in doing so, there is where the wall will crumble once again.
I love to look at 1 Timothy 3 when it comes to persons who are given responsibility. This is written to the church, but it can apply to any organization, to any leader, to anybody who has responsibility over any amount of people. You need to have some value system if you're going to be involved in this rebuilding process. Now hear what this says. Now the overseer, or let me say the leader, is to be above reproach. Listen to some of the value system I'm talking about. Faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not lover of money. These are some of the values. Persons must be able to have be able to control their own family. When I say control, I say that carefully. Must be able to manage their affairs well. And this is what we need when we are putting leaders out there into this process of starting to rebuild these walls, starting to replace the gates. We need persons with some modicum of respect and above reproach.
It seems from our discussion we've been saying to you that in the rebuilding process, in the home, in the community, we stop selling out people land, selling people property, and look out for the people of the community and in the nation. Leadership is critical. It seems as if everything would rise or fall at the level of leadership. And therefore it is necessary that all leaders who are interested in rebuilding, that we check ourselves so that we can bring ourselves to a bar, bring ourselves to a level of operation, so that we will be able to set an example, a good example, and not only set an example, but deliberately, systematically develop our young people to be able to not just reach that bar, but to surpass it. And we must do so not just in their academic performance. It is good to have 10 or 15 subjects. It is good to have 2 or 3 first degrees. It's good to have your master's degree. But if you don't have character, if your attitude is not right, tell me how far you will go. Who will employ you for a very long time? How much of rebuilding will you be involved in? You may more be in destruction than rebuilding. And therefore we need that kind of people around us in Guyana. And it is our interest, it is in our interest rather, as a people, that we should build those kinds of characters and structures.
Pastor Sanders, you touch on the point of leadership. And when leadership being so critical in rebuilding, we think of a wise leader having wisdom. And I want to read what James 3:17 says. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. We're talking leadership. And if we can apply these qualities listed here in a leader, then the family will benefit. We will see rebuilding at the highest level. We will see rebuilding in the community at the highest level. We will see rebuilding in the nation at the highest level. And the nation, the community, and the family will rise to such a level of excellence that people afar will stand off in awe to see what would have taken place.
But think up to that man of God right now, that leader. You're sitting out there, you're a leader in your community, in your club, wherever you are. You are a leader. But this is facts. Listen to me. Here is the kind of people you are leading right now. People who are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, teachers, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. This is who we are dealing with. We are living in the last days. That's why I refer to Paul's writing in 2 Timothy 3. And without the wisdom of God, there's going to be difficulty. There's going to be continuous decay. But the man of God who is righteous, who is standing, you must continue to stand and faint not. You must continue to persevere and not give up. You must continue to give an account when it's necessary. You must continue to be who God called you to be.
You think it is easy when people are provocative for you to be peace-loving? It requires the wisdom of God.
Yes.
You think it is easy when people are impure for you to think pure? It requires the wisdom of God. You think it is easy when people are not considerate for you to become considerate? But this is the level of leadership.
Yeah.
What we do many times is that we come down to the people's level, to that lower level, and there is no leadership after a while because we all become one. Nobody's calling the other to a higher standing. But every leader, every good leader who is involved in rebuilding will ensure that he's considerate, submissive. Yeah, submissive. Sometimes we really don't wish, especially once we are at the top. We believe that whatever we say goes. But sometimes we all have to submit ourselves to some other authority. And I dare say, one of the greatest authority to submit yourself to is God himself. But you must be submissive. I love it. I really, really, really love it. Not just submissive, but full of mercy and of good faith. Mercy means that you extend a hand to a man when he doesn't even deserve it. He doesn't really. How many times as parents, your children or child might have been so rude, so out of place. You've already punished them, and now you're still vexed. It's time for meal, but you still have to call them, and give them, come sit and take your meal. Or do you do the other way. Say, hey, I was starving today. You know, you're too bad. It means that every one of us as leaders, while we lead people, they will do wrong things, they will hurt us. But we are still required to be full of mercy and of good faith. Still believing in people. Still believing in God. Impartial. Don't say, these are my brothers, you are not my brothers. You can't lead in that way. I like you have 5 children, I like 2 of them, the rest, the other 3, I don't know where you came from. Or some look like me, and you like those who look like me, but those who don't look like me, you really don't like them, you know? Or we are all from the same party, so you could do whatever you want, doesn't matter. Whatever you want, I will allow you to do that. But the others, we will always deal with them. No, have to be impartial if you're going to be involved in this rebuilding process. And not just impartial, but the people are looking to see if your heart is sincere. Are you true about what you say?
You see, you have to remember that a problem cannot be solved at the same level at which it was created. And so we need the wisdom of God. All those values and qualities, the components that we are discussing here today, that will help in the rebuilding process, we need the wisdom of God. And that is what will help us to come above the fray, to come to that point where we can not just see the immediate, but trust God for that vision that is needed, that will enable us to move beyond the problem and seek the solution.
That is why the Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 4, reading from verse 5, wisdom is important, extremely important. If you don't have wisdom, you could torpedo the whole process. It says here, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not. We're speaking here about wisdom. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. And I love verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy wisdom get understanding. So in this rebuilding process, I challenge every one of us, let us get wisdom, because it is extremely important in this process.
The principles that we're romancing here, you know, what I like about them is that they could follow through from family into community and into the nation. And even as we look at it from that perspective, let's see if we could find the foundation for all of this. Wouldn't we want to say that the family would be the foundation, would be the basic unit of society? Wouldn't we want to say that this is the place where the very things that we are fighting for, fighting to rebuild at the community level, at the national level, don't you see it happening or being able to be fulfilled? And as a result, it would carry through naturally into the community and in the nation. We need to once again take serious stock of what we do at home, how we conduct ourselves. Dad, you need to be there again. We have to rebuild. We have a community to build. We have a nation to build. Let us once again take stock at the very root of where it really matters, the family, and then we'll see the positive ripple effects to the community and to the nation as well.
There is a saying that strong families will build strong communities, and strong communities will build a strong nation. Again, we need leaders in the home who will stand firm. As a young man growing up, I know you had to watch back before you do anything mischievous, because there was somebody in the community who was always looking out there for you, or looking to see how you will operate as a young man or a young woman coming up. So if we're going to rebuild, it talks about something that was there but is now lacking in our society, in our home, in our nation today. We need to have strong leadership, and we need leadership that will be in tune with God, who will see after God and see God direct them how to lead people into
beneficial lives, into fruitful lives. And so we will have strong communities. Again, the community must play its part. And so we look for leaders, and every man is important, every boy is important, every girl is important, every woman is important in the rebuilding of these families, and in the rebuilding of community, and rebuilding of this nation of Guyana.
You appeal to my nationalistic side, and I'd like to just read one verse of the hymn for Guyana's children. But not in vain we strive to build a new Guyana, great and free, a land of glory and of hope, a land of love and unity.
You know, Nehemiah spoke about rebuilding, and he spoke consistently about rebuilding the walls and the gates. We mentioned that earlier. The walls are significant because they speak of security. And in our family, and in our nation, and in our community, we need to rebuild our security. He also spoke about the doors or the gates, which speaks of authority and speaks about what goes in and what comes out. I pray that we will, as a people, recognize, put on your discerning eyes and look around and recognize that we, in some cases, with our own hands, have destroyed our walls and our gates. But we need them as a people, or else everything and anything will come in. If you don't build back those value systems, if you don't build back those attitudes and build back the character and the vision that is necessary to sustain a people for a long time, they're going to die. So listen without interruption, speak without accusing, give without sparing, pray without ceasing, answer without arguing, share without pretending, enjoy without complaining, trust without wavering, forgive without punishing, and promise without forgetting. God bless you.
Thank you for being part of Choices. We want to encourage you to join us at First Assembly at any one of our regular weekly services. You can also join us on Voice of Guyana, 9:30 hours Saturday mornings for Kingdom Kids. I'm Celicia on behalf of the 7 reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices.